Hello fellow creatives, let me hope we are all doing well, we are great and everything is basically okay and we are moving on the best way. So this is Munye Scripts, and what we are going to be looking at today is continuing with our project, the only videos that you need to understand Photoshop. In our last steps we looked at how to open up, how to choose the different options, and you load onto the page that you are going to be designing for. Just a simple remarks on what we looked at. When you create, you go to file, then you go to new, then you go and give what you are creating a name, maybe lesson 1. So if that is what we have, then you come here, you look for an F4, because most of the times it is better for us to be at least knowing an F4, because with we knowing an F4, it basically means we can get any other papers that we are in need of. Because with an F4, if we know what an F4 is, then we can come up with the other papers. If we do not know what it is, we can happen to Google and find out. You can even come here on print. Are you seeing this? But here we are in what? In millimeters, and here we are in centimeters. So we just have to divide by a 10. So it will be 29.7 and this one will be 21.0 or a 21 net. Okay, so if that is what we have, are you seeing these errors? So you have to be knowing, because if you don't know, it will also be difficult for you to do it here. And if at all you do not know, it means that if you are given a lower version of Illustrator, Photoshop, or any designing program without templates, then it means that you cannot run it or you cannot operate it. Okay, so we get that at 21, then at 29.7. So that is the size of an F4. And the resolution, why are we keeping it at 300? Because we are to print this design, and then we have to change this, okay, to 𝐄𝐁𝐒𝐈𝐓, that is cyan, magenta, yellow and black. Okay, then here we can leave it at this, or else we can also extend it to 6 bits. So depending on the power of your computer, you can go even beyond that and go to 32-bit. But for me to keep it simple with lower MBs, I can keep it at 8 bits. Okay, so the more the resolution is high and the bit rate is also high, it means that the final project will be of higher MBs. So if we have white as our background color, so if we click this, we can change it to any color of our choice. Okay, that is customize. There is black, there is white, there is transparency, there is custom. So custom, you can play around with the colors. Okay, so that is it. Now after having that as a conclusion, what you do is you click create. Okay, so I'm going to click Ctrl Z. I'm going to go here, click that X to close it, because I know I don't want the black, the red color. I want it to be white, because most of the times automatically by default it is almost all white. Most of the softwares give you a white background, so let us keep it at white. Okay, so now after seeing this, now the first thing we have to do is to remove of this padlock. This padlock has different ways on which it can be removed. You can double click on it if you are in a lower version, but this is CC 2022, so it means if I click Ctrl Z to redo it, we click on it once. Okay, then Ctrl Z again to have it. So are you seeing when I'm pointing just below, not in the layer but just below, the arrow that I'm using to point is like a spear form. If I move it closer to this, it turns to a palm. So I'm going to just click, hold, drag and throw it in the dustbin, as you saw me doing it. So now we are free to do anything with this layer. But before, if we have that layer, let us try to get a brush and see. So in some versions, when you try to do any art or any designs on a layer that is basically whose on a background whose padlock is not removed, anything that you design on the page does not happen to get designed on it. Okay, so endeavor to see that you first put off that padlock. Yes, with this version it may allow you create maybe a certain design without even removing the padlock, but at a certain extent it will appear up, it will tend to disturb you. Okay, so you have to first make sure that the padlock is off. So now we want to deal with this picture, any of these ones. So I'm going to be showing you something. So if I come to the picture, right click on it, then say open with, then I go to choose apps, because my Photoshop was not showing some more apps. So I choose Photoshop 2022. So it is going to be opening up, but it is going to open up in a new window, meaning that it is not going to be placed on this page, our previous page, but it opened up in its own what window. So remember what we started with in the first videos. Remember I told you that Photoshop is a layer based what program, and it is a raster program, meaning that its specialization and effectiveness is seen on photos. Okay, so if at all we want to retouch a photo, if at all we want to edit any photo, so that is it basically. Now if we have that lady, she's already inside our software, so we want to like remove the background, then shift this lady to the what, to the layer. Okay, so we want to get this lady off here and take her this side. So there are different tools in Photoshop as you see them here. Okay, so there are different tools that you can work with, okay, in Photoshop as you see them here. Okay, and briefly let me just look at the interface. When you have this is the menu. Okay, the menu bar, whereby we can choose any, we have a variety under each item, and in those items they also have items. So that is why we call it a what, a menu. Then this is the standard bar, it like shows whatever is going on. Okay, it has additions that are basically needed. Then here we have the properties. Okay, the properties panel. Okay, this is the adjustments panel. Okay, and we use also this adjustment to cause effect, so it is more like the effects what channel, effects what panel. Then here we have the layers panel, the channels panel, the paths channel. Okay, so all those can be dismantled and removed. So that I think so anything can be removed, even these tools. So if I click this, they can extend this, they can extend again, so I can even undock them and place them where I want to place them. Then after we seeing that we can press this, then it becomes a little bit what, medium. So these are like some of the tools that we can play around with. So when we are removing the background, we can use the pen tool, and we can also use the quick selection tool. So when would we use the pen tool, and when would we use the quick selection tool? So we use the quick selection tool if you are cutting off the background of a photo that was well lighted, okay, whose like background was well lighted. So it is like the quick selection tool is more automatic and it deals with light intensity. Okay, so if your photo was poorly lighted, then you may find it entering the characters what, or the photos what part that you don't want to cut off. So what you have to make sure is light up the photo or the subject properly, because you know that you are going to use the quick selection what tool. Okay, so then after that we also have the pen tool. So when do we use the pen tool? So in case we are cutting off the background of this photo and it happens to refuse, then it means we have to use the pen tool. Okay, because it will have refused. Maybe it has refused when we are using the quick selection tool because of the light that is not consistent all over the body. So you find that some parts enter inside the character. So we have to make sure that we bring in now the pen tool. Okay, and that is its use as the pen tool, to come over and try to work on what has failed with the quick selection tool. Okay, then if we don't have, let me say we have bananas, we have maybe potatoes, and all of them are in the background of the character. Okay, so it means that there is varying color intensity over color on the photo. So it means that now if we are working with such a picture, the quick selection tool cannot work. The tool that can work is the pen tool. Okay, so endeavor to see that you stay along and we continue looking at these wonderful videos that are to keep us educated, improving, and getting somewhere as creative people. So thank you for watching. Thank you for having subscribed. I love you. Let us meet in the next video where we shall be putting into practice what I've talked about.